Ah, I see you've come to hear another Christmas story. If you've heard any of my other rhyming retellings, you'll know I tend to be rather crass and humorous, but this year I thought I'd do something a bit different. Just something slow and wholesome, something that's more in the holiday spirit. So without further ado, let me read to you The Gift of the Magi. 3 wise men once followed a star in the night sky to bring gifts to the baby Jesus. These men were the Magi. And thanks to them, it's now our business to hand out gifts every Christmas. And years later, Magi still exists today, just in a slightly different way. Over in England, there was a small flat that was old and cramped somewhere in Halifax, shared by a couple, Mavis and Henry, deeply in love but as poor as could be. It was Christmas Eve, but all was not pleasant, for poor dear Mavis couldn't get Henry a present. She counted out £4.72. That's all she had after paying the rent. Her head hung low as she started to cry. She could afford nothing no matter how hard she tried. She'd searched the flat, every cupboard and drawer, she'd looked in old shirt pockets and all over the floor, but there wasn't any more cash in the house. The only thing she found was a tatty old blouse. Mavis sat on the bed and wept in despair. She reached to her head and let down her long hair. Now there were only 2 things the couple possessed that held any value outside the love they were blessed. One of these things was Mavis's hair, so long and braided, so beautiful and fair. If shown before any queen or king, it will make their jewels all look like nothing. The entire length of it came down to her knees, and simply stroking it would put her at ease. Taking a deep breath, she looked in the mirror and composed herself when she had an idea. She loved her hair, of that she was sure, but deep down Mavis knew she loved her husband more. She put on her hat, grabbed the change in reserve, and went to town to find the gift he deserved. She walked through the market past the butchers and bakers, and found herself entering the local wig makers. "How much for my hair?" Mavis said to the clerk. "I don't know, let me look at it first." Mavis took off her hat and let down her gold locks. The wig maker inspected, quite pleased with the stock. "This hair is beautiful, and there's plenty you've got. I'll give you £45 if you give me the lot." Mavis said yes, and the clerk started the job, and soon she left, her hair now a short scruffy bob. She searched through the town, she had to be swift, when suddenly her eyes spotted the perfect gift. You see, the second item they had of any worth was a golden pocket watch given to Henry at birth. Belonging to his grandfather, then his father, now him, at all times he kept it in his pocket with him. The only problem with it, he'd always complain, is that the watch no longer had a chain, and that was the thing Mavis wanted to gift to her dear Henry, who she loved to bits. A lovely gold chain, that was what her husband needed to complete his gold watch. She ran in the shop and skipped out feeling proud. She had purchased the chain for just £46. She walked back to the flat, but on her way, she picked up a pudding as a treat for Christmas Day. When she got home, she tried to let down her hair, only to remember it was no longer there. "Oh dear," she thought, "I hope my Henry won't reject me now that my lovely hair is wrecked." She took a quick bath, and once she was dressed, she tried to style what little hair she had left. By 7 o'clock she had finished her look and went into the kitchen to get ready to cook. Just then the door opened, and entering the flat was her dear Henry, hanging up his tattered coat and hat. Mavis approached him, giving him a hug and a kiss, but then Mavis noticed something was amiss. Henry didn't seem to be happy back home. He wasn't angry nor sad, just in a world of his own. "Dear Henry," she cried, "before you say I look crass, I must tell you that my hair will grow back very fast." Henry finally came to his senses and for a moment did stare, asking, "Dear Mavis, what on earth happened to your hair?" "I know I look ugly now, but please will you stay? I couldn't bear to be without you on Christmas Day. I sold it so I could have money to spend. Only then could I get you a deserving present." He took a moment to look at his wife. His expression was mild. He then presented her a wrapped box. "Merry Christmas," he smiled. Mavis, overjoyed, gave Henry a loving kiss. Then both sat down as she unwrapped the gift. Once she saw it, she gave a smile so bright, for in her hands was a beautiful sight. A set of combs designed so elegant and lovely to wear, the perfect colour to match with her hair. She had spotted them in a shop, but they were far too dear. There was no way they could afford them, even if they saved for a year. She held them to her chest and held them for a while. "My hair grows back back fast," she said to Henry with a smile. She then jumped up saying, "I have one too. Just wait right there, I've got a present for you." She came back to the table standing proud and grand, and very carefully placed the watch chain in Henry's hand. He examined the chain for a little while before putting it on the table and giving Mavis a smile. "My dear," he said, "I love it to bits." "Well," said Mavis, "get out your watch, let's see if it fits." "That's the thing," said Henry. "You see, on my way home, I decided to sell my watch to buy you those new combs." They were quiet for a moment, then they both started to laugh. It's now they realised they'd both been utterly daft, giving up their most prized treasure in a loving attempt to bring the other pleasure. They sat down to dinner and talked about their day, and made sure to remind the other how they loved them in their own special way. Those two are fools, as you can see, so what do they have to do with Magi? You see, in their own way, they were both very wise, for both were willing to give up their prize, an act of love and gifting with great thought. These were the gifts the Magi brought. So when gifting to someone, make sure to be as wise and as loving as those two Magi. Now I wish you all happy holidays with much Christmas cheer. Give gifts, give love, and I'll see you next year.